everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. So I am going to try to add Lori in. I hope so. Although our button's back, everything's changed just a little bit. So let's see. Let's see. All right. We're hoping it works. The challenge this, yes. Hello.
Hi.
All right. So we hope everybody's doing well. We wanted to hop on. We are still getting excited about our permission granted book that you guys have probably seen us posting about every day. Trying to get the buzz out. We're hoping our voices and stories will help others. So we're just here to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, so we've been pretty open and honest about our little journey and how about 5 years ago we're not in the best place. And so a lot about what we do nowadays is just trying to help people learn faster than we did. Exactly. And so, we were presented with this opportunity to be a part of this book called Permission Granted. And, you don't think about those words. And so permission granted, what does that even mean? And so it really was sort of like, okay, well, what have I given myself permission to do?
Or not do.
Or not to do. And how have I allowed myself to be stuck or hidden or unseen, invisible? And so it really could be anything. Like, what have you given yourself permission to do, or what have you not? It makes you really look at where you're seeking approval in your life from others to tell you about how to run your own life.
That's right. So that's what we were talking about is there's so many times when we are waiting on others to approve us and approve the things that we want to do or we think about or we dream about. And so we've been sitting back waiting on others to give us their approval when really and truly the only permission we need to do something is our own. And it's about us stepping up to the plate and giving ourselves permission to be seen and heard and to share our stories and to share the things we've learned. We talked about it 5 years ago. I was 41 years old and miserable in so many aspects of my life. And I had not given myself permission to be happy and permission to do a lot of things that needed to happen on that path to happiness. And I think that's where this comes from is it took us a while. Like we've been doing this work for 5 years now. And so when we were asked to be a part of the book, I said no at first. Lori was a little bit braver than I was and said yes more quickly than me. But eventually I did. It was me having to I was so worried about everybody else's approval, everybody else's feelings. And then finally I said, what's the name of this book? And we talked about it and it's permission. And so I was waiting on somebody else to give me permission to do something that I knew in my heart I needed to do. And so giving myself permission to do it, I did it. And so it feels good, finally.
Yeah, and I think what makes us sort of unique, we're both from the same small town. And I think sometimes we were telling ourselves a story that who are we? That we're two little small town girls that, why would anybody want to know about our story or whatever? But, you have to get over yourself a little bit to do that and be vulnerable. We talked about that last week when it was a little scary to announce that we were putting our stories in a book. And you do. We've talked about Brene Brown and all of her work and how courage comes from vulnerability. And so I feel like we had to both be vulnerable and be courageous to step up and say, somebody might benefit from hearing my story because somebody might be feeling the same exact way I was. And, perhaps I can give them hope or maybe help them see that there's a different way.
And I think that's exactly, and I think we talked about it, right? Because it's hard. It's hard to tell even a snippet of a story. It's not like we're not in this book giving our life story. It's one moment in time in a chapter in a book, right? So it's just one small story that is part of my journey. But it's a really important story that I felt like would help other people. Like, I think that it's a story of hope. I think it's a story of what can happen when you're really quiet and kind of give yourself some time to think. And so I think for us, it is really being open and vulnerable, but the reason behind us doing this is to help other people. You know, this book isn't going to sell 10 million copies and we're not going to make any money off of it. But honestly, that's not what it's about for us. I think for us is if I can help 1 or 2 or 10 other people who need it, that maybe hear my story and connect with it and go, wow, okay, if she can overcome that, I can too. That's really and truly what we're here for.
Absolutely. And I think I said it last week, that everybody should do this. They should sit down and like just purge their story onto a piece of paper, even if nobody else ever sees it. Because I feel like what happened when I did that was it was very healing for me. Absolutely. And then hopefully that comes through in the pages where it then helps to heal someone else.
And it's not easy. I mean, writing your story down is not easy. I remember calling Lori and she had done hers and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Like, I can't get myself in that mindset. Like, I'm having such a hard time sitting down to even put pen to paper. And it was because I wasn't ready to be that vulnerable and because I was nervous and I was scared. But when I started writing it, the feelings and the emotion that started, the experiences that I had forgotten about, some feelings that I didn't enjoy. But also when I got them up and out on paper, it released so much for me, that a lot of that is kind of like I threw some shit to the wind, right? I was like, here you go, you can have it. I don't want it back ever. But it took me getting it up and throwing it out, to finally heal some places that I had not healed, that I thought there are places I really thought were healed that weren't. And even putting pen to paper. Now these chapters have been edited, down to make them fit, make them be a chapter. But, in the grand scheme of things, what we did right, was really healing for us, just putting it on paper for ourselves. So, I mean, I even toyed with the idea and actually have written 1 or 2 other stories that will never be published, but that because of this process, I felt like would help me continue to be able to throw that out and not have it come back.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is, I mean, I love this about us because like you'll pick up on something that I didn't quite finish my thought on. So when I said healing, really for me, it was around the process of writing it and getting it out was like, Tonya and I joke all the time. We're not the most emotional people. We are working to let our emotions out, but we have trained ourselves not to do that. Some of you can relate. But it was, I mean, I bawled like a baby getting it out, and just, you don't realize how much stuff you just pack in over your life that you don't deal with and you don't truly get out of you. And so, getting it out on paper was one thing, but like you just said, there's some kind of healing in once it's on the piece of paper and not in your head and not in your body. It is a release. It's there's healing with it, and you don't do anything other than put your story on paper and feel the feelings as you're writing it.
Yeah, it's kind of like having that list. Like, I always keep a pencil and paper beside my bed, or now it's my cell phone, and I have a list. And so when I can't sleep at night because things are running through my mind, I'll go to that list and I'll type it in or list it real quick so that it's out of my mind, so I know I'm not going to forget about it, but I don't have to think about it. And I think that that's real similar in this process. Like, I feel like when I put some things on paper, it relieved me internally of it. It's not anything will ever go away. It'll always be there, but it doesn't have to be internal anymore. It's external now. So it's really interesting how that worked and the feelings that came up before, because I procrastinated for a long time. During and then after. And after feels good.
Yeah. So, really, we just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit more in depth about what the book's about and why we're even involved with it. But I mean, whether you read it or not, we hope you all do. We hope once it's available on July 30th that you all purchase it and read it and get to know us a little bit better. But even if you don't do that, really think about what you are giving yourself permission to do or what you're not giving yourself permission to do. Absolutely. And really think about that for yourself.
And if you're waiting on somebody else to give you permission to do something, think about that. Nobody else should have control over what you allow yourself to do. Feelings, actions, thought processes. This is about giving yourself permission. And that's what we were excited. The reason we agreed to put our stories in a book like this, for that reason. So we hope you guys will give yourself permission.
We had the opportunity to be on a call with Jan Van Zant. I don't know if some of y'all know her, but as part of this permission granted writing process, we had the opportunity to be on the call with her. And she was trying to think of what to talk about with permission granted. And she saw a bill that had come in the mail, and it had pre-approved, those pieces of paper, pre-approved for a new visa or whatever. And her whole talk to us was about, you're already pre-approved. You wouldn't be here if you weren't already pre-approved. So why are you waiting for somebody else to give you permission to do what you know you need to do? It was very moving.
It was amazing. She's amazing. So if you don't know her, look her up. Because that was off the cuff for her too. Literally, but her whole conversation about being pre-approved, God pre-approved us. We would not be here if we weren't supposed to be. So why are we waiting on somebody else? So it was pretty amazing.
That's right. So hopefully this helps to give you a little bit more detail, and we're going to try to jump on every week. So maybe you look
that's a goal. Yeah. All right. And then we're going to ask you guys if you feel so compelled when the time comes to order our book and to share, and let everybody else know about it and share our Amazon link. Our goal is to hopefully hit an Amazon bestseller. So we'll see, hopefully with everybody's help. So, all right, guys. So what are you giving yourself permission today? Just today. Not think about one thing today that maybe you need to give yourself permission to do.
That's right.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
See you later.